Now, I will be taking you all through some of the sneak peeks of the chapter 8 War, the Destiny Maker. Selfishness wields wisdom. Selfishness at the cost of others' life is dangerous, but foolishness with selfishness is dangerous at the cost of one's own life. Now, I'm reading a letter that is written by King Prayag to his best friend King Chakradhar right before a battle between both of their kingdoms. Dear Chakradhar, I'm no more eligible to be your best friend. Avni and I trusted Charumati. I got married to her to protect the future of my kingdom Vasumati, but she picked up the war between our kingdoms at the cost of Vasumati's future growing in her womb. I'm helpless and hopeless now. I shall remain in the history as the most disloyal friend who backstabbed a friend's trust. But I will still remain as a loyal king of Vasumati by protecting its future. Vasumati is everything to me. As best friends, you know that. I understand the size of my kingdom Vasumati and its soldiers, which is thrice that of Sri Chakra. I may not be able to stop the battle, but I will tell you how to put down the weapons made up of venom by my soldiers. The master weapons alone can fight against the weapons with venom. The family who makes those weapons lives at the Dahilalpur Valley after 5 cascading acidic waterfalls away from the west of the Sri Chakra dynasty. This is the least help I could be able to do. Forgive me, writes the king of Vasumati, Prayag. After reading this letter, Chakradhar ferociously closes the letter and calls out the attender to call upon the army chief of the Sri Chakra dynasty, Vijay Puja. Awakening the tribals. Saint Achintya walked to the forest with his jug that had sacred water. He took water in his hands, chanted a mantra that awakened the tribals in the form of trees and sprinkled the water on those trees. The leaves of those trees turned dry and shed from the trees. All the branches of all those trees shrunk into their respective trunks. Then, those large trunks shrunk vertically down concerning the heights of each tribe, and their legs were formed. The roots of the trees unearthed and turned into the tribal fingers of their legs. 2 branches from every trunk pierced out, forming arms with a bundle of roots as each finger. Achintya stood chanting mantras as the transformation was taking place. The faces of the tribes was the skin. A few green leaves sprouted on the trunk's head. The only human part on their body was their eyes, that formed the burrows on their bark. Saint Achintya took water into his hands from his jug. Chanting mantra sprinkled on all of those 3 tribals. They all gained the power to walk. All the tribals, in the form of moving trees, walked towards Achintya and offered pranams with their branch roots as their fingers. I'm reading one of the important scenes from the same chapter where the war is intense and it's reaching the climax. And it goes like this. Puja took her sword, mounted with force on the staircase made up with arrows, walked towards Charumati. Puja caught the hair of Charumati and had cut off her hair. Charumati's body turned grey and she became pale and energyless. Puja raised her sword high in the air to chop Charumati's head off. Prayag came running, placed his hands on Charumati's stomach and looked at Puja for her sympathy. That sentimental moment of a child in her womb stopped Puja again. With full gasping, Puja dropped her hand, holding the sword down. In no time, Charumati shrieked louder in pain with bleeding stomach. Everybody around was awestruck for a moment. A spear pierced from behind and came out of Charumati's stomach just above the Prayag's hands that are placed on Charumati's stomach. Prayag's hands on Charumati's stomach became red with blood. It was Avni Devi from behind who stabbed the cobra poisoned spear straight into Charumati's stomach. He took her sword, mounted with force on the staircase made up with arrows, and walked towards Charumati. Puja caught the hair of Charumati and had cut off her hair. Charumati's body turned grey and she became pale and energyless. Puja raised her sword high in the air to chop Charumati's head off. Prayag came running and placed his hands on Charumati's stomach and looked at Puja for her sympathy. That sentimental moment of a child in her womb stopped Puja again. With full gasping, Puja dropped her hand, holding the sword down. In no time, Charumati shrieked louder in pain with bleeding stomach. Everybody around was awestruck for a moment. A spear, pierced from behind, came out of Charumati's stomach just above the Prayag's hands. Prayag's hands on Charumati's stomach became red with blood. It was Avni Devi from behind who stabbed the cobra-poisoned spear straight into Charumati's stomach. In no time, Charumati shrieked louder in pain with bleeding stomach. Everybody around was awestruck for a moment. A spear pierced from behind came out of the Charumati's stomach just above the Prayag's hands. Prayag's hands on Charumati's stomach became red with blood. It was Avni Devi from behind who stabbed the cobra poisoned spear straight into Charumati's stomach.